Hi everyone, this is Smriti. Welcome to Q Automation classes. Today is the session 6 and today we are going to look into the reading data from the properties file. Okay, in the last session we have added all those dependencies to our form.xml and we have downloaded them, and today we'll start creating the properties file and we'll have the some information in properties file. What exactly is the properties file, right? So the properties file is having key and value, right? And we will keep some information which is consumed by our code base. Okay, so in this example we are going to, maybe we can keep the browser, what kind of browser I want to launch, right? I want Chrome or Firefox or Edge, right? And what is the application URL, right? So what is the QA URL, what is the dev URL, what is the staging URL, what is the prod URL? Suppose you want to run your application on the multiple URLs, right? We can configure the different URLs over there, right? So let's create a properties file and there start keeping few things like browser and the URL. Okay, so how to create a properties file first of all? So if you have seen here in the source test resources, right? So right click, new, okay, go as file. Okay, so let's say configuration.properties. It is important to give the extension as dot properties. Okay, so configuration.properties, create is inside the resources, because this is not the actual code, this is the properties file which will have some information that will be read through our code. And since we are writing our test automation framework, we are going to use this test package. Okay, inside this test folder where directory we are having the Java, all the Java code should go here within these packages and all the resources will go under the resources. Okay, so here configuration.properties got created and here we can write two things. One is the, first we'll start with the browser. So let's say browser equals to, I'll just say, okay, so browser equals to Chrome, and okay, so browser equals to Chrome, and let's say the URL. So URL equals to, I'll just show you the URL where we're going to do the all the sessions. That is automationexercise.com. So let's say automationexercise.com. Okay, automation exercise, did I make any mistake? Automation exercise. Okay, let's say www automation exercise.com. Okay, I don't know what is happening. HTTP colon double slash HTTPS. Okay, let's see. Automation exercise.com. Just search in Google itself. This is the one, automation exercise. Okay, there was some spelling mistake maybe. Okay, so let me take this one as the URL. So let's go to the Eclipse, sorry, IntelliJ IDEA, and let's paste the URL. HTTPS colon double slash automation exercise. Okay, exercise. Oh, there was a spelling mistake. Okay, so now this is the browser name and this is the URL. Okay, so we have defined two things over there. So how to read these values through our code base, Java code, right? So for each of the test cases we are going to design, we need the browser. In which browser we are going to run the test case, we need that, and in which URL it should open, right? So these two information we need for each and every test case. So instead of replicating that same code base in every test case, we can do one thing. We can go to our base type, right? You might have remembered it. I told like there will be a base class or something where we will have all the reusable concepts, right? All the reusable codes will add. Okay, and those are will be part of the automation utilities package. So we have automation utilities package here. We are going to have all the reusable codes, right? And the reusable code that are common for all the test cases, that we'll call as a base type. Okay, so we'll have a class called as the base type class, and in the base types we'll be adding all those common methods. Okay, so let's create a new class over here. Right click, new Java class. So let's say base steps. Okay, so base steps. So now the base step class got created over here. Okay, and let's see. So what we need to do here, so our intention is to, whatever properties file we have created and whatever the key value pairs we have, we just want to read these values. Okay, so how to read this value first? So in the base step we have to first do few we need to create the properties object and then through which we can read, and let's see that, right? So let's start with defining the variables. Let's say private. Okay, so properties java.util. Okay, so private properties, let's say I'll give the name as prop. Okay, and then second one, let's see that we need to keep two things, right? One for the browser, one for the URL. So let's say define private string browser name. Okay, so this is one more to capture the browser name, and similarly one more for capturing the app URL. Okay, so private, so string app URL, this is to capture the application URL. So these three variables I defined. Okay, so after defining these three variables, let's create the setup method. Within the setup method we'll try to read it. Okay, so let's say public void setup, public void setup, this is a setup method, and inside this we are going to read those values from the properties file. How to do that? So okay, so we have the properties, right? So prop equals to, let's create the object, new properties, sorry, caps, new properties. Okay, so whatever the properties class instance we have created here, we just assign to the object. Okay, so prop equals to new properties, and then we have to get that detail. First we have to load that configuration, that properties, like this should know, right? This properties object should know which properties file to refer, right? So we can say prop dot. Okay, so we are going to load. So what exactly we are going to load? We are going to load, you have to give the current class in information, right? So you will say dot load, and what is the name of the current class? The name of the current class is base types, right? So let's say base types, base types, base types, right? Yeah, let's put like this, base types dot class. Okay, so this is our class dot, and get there is a method called get class loader, right? So let's say get class load. Okay, here it is, get class loader. So after using this, what we need to do after loading this one, we will say dot get resource. Okay, dot get resource as stream. Okay, so we are going to get the resource as a stream, and here we have to give that configuration dot properties. Okay, within the double quotes you say configuration dot properties, configuration, right, dot properties. Okay, so it's giving us some error. It is saying it is giving unhandled exception java.io exception. So we can either do the add exception to the method signature, or we can put it in the inside the try and catch. Okay, so I will prefer to put it inside the try and catch. So let's put it in the under the try block, try. Okay, so configuration. Okay, so try block ends. Okay, so after the try block ends we can have a catch block. Okay, so so there are few more statement we can write, but let's write the catch block over here. So catch, we can have like a exception. Okay, exception e, and here we'll write e dot print stack trace, right? E dot print stack trace. Okay, this is done. So now okay, let me bring it here so that enter skin is visible, right? So now I have loaded, right? So this properties file I have loaded with the help of the properties class object. So how to load? Properties class object dot load. So give the name of the class on which class you are writing, that is the base type dot class. Okay, after compile this Java will be converted into dot class file, right? So you have to give base type dot class dot get class loader dot get resource as string, and you pass the configuration dot properties, your properties name, maybe any xyz dot properties, you pass that name, and then this is going this method, right? It is going to look for this file. If this file is not there, so it might throw exception, right? So for that one, either you can have here throws IO exception or something like that, or exception e, otherwise you would use the try catch. So I'm using the try catch over here, but here we just gave the information of the properties file to the properties object, but we have to read it, right? So how to read it? So to read it, we have prop dot get property. Okay, so in the through the get property method we have to provide the string key. So what exactly is the key? So these are the key, browser is a key, URL is a key, right? So I need a browser, so let's say give that key information here. Okay, so you cannot directly give, you have to give it under the double quotes, right? It's a string, right? So key prop dot get property. Okay, so it is going to read the browser value from the properties file. So what is the browser value? It will read as Chrome, right? So we have to store it. So where we are going to store it? If you have seen, I have already defined as the string browser name, right? So let's put that. So browser name equals to prop.getProperty browser. Okay, so whatever the value it is going to read from the properties file for the browser key, that is going to be substituted and stored inside the browser name. So we can do one thing. Let's say s out. Okay, s out. I can say the browser from dot properties file is, okay, browser from dot properties file is plus, let's say, browser name. Okay, so same one. So browser name. Okay, and similarly we can do for the URL. Okay, so let me copy paste this two line. We'll just we'll just rename the variables over there. Okay, so now instead of browser name we'll go with the app URL. Okay, so prop dot get property, what is the key? So key is the URL. Okay, sorry, so let me take the URL. So let's go here and put as the URL. So let's say URL from properties file is plus app URL. Okay, so I think it is now our code is complete. Through this we can read the properties file and retrieve those key respective values. Okay, and we are printing, so we cannot run it directly, right? So this is just a method. We need a main method in order to run it, right? So we can create a main method and we can call it. Okay, so not a big deal. Okay, so let's do that. So let's say main. Okay, so base steps, right? So let's create an object for the base steps. Let's say base st equals to new base steps. Okay, and let's say base st, call that method, just call that method dot setup method, right? So we have the setup method dot setup. Okay, so now this is a file, right? I can now call this run this file because there is a main method. Okay, we'll be getting rid of all those things. This is just to show you how exactly it is going to read the data from the dot properties file. Okay, so right click, run base steps dot main. So it's building. Okay, parsing. Okay, okay, so if you see, this is the response here. Okay, the execution report, there are two SOP statements, right? So if you see, browser from dot properties file is Chrome. So this is what we have given, right? Browser from dot properties file is Chrome browser name, and URL from dot properties file is https://automationexercise.com, right? So this is how exactly you read the data from your dot properties file. So you define a properties file, you define the key and corresponding values in that properties file, and you have a main class. You define a method in the class, and within that method you create a property object, and through that property object, this is the you load that this is a statement to load that properties file, right? So prop dot load and give the name of your class, and then dot class loader dot get resource as string, and then give the name of your properties file within double quotes, and then prop dot get property is the method through which this get property method, right? Within by using that get property method, and within that method you have to specify the key name, right? So if you put that key name within the double quotes, it will read the respective keys value. So browser name is Chrome, we are passing get property of browser, so it is giving me the Chrome. We are saying get property of URL, it is giving me the URL. Okay, so it is giving me all those information here. Okay, so yeah, this is how you get the properties file information to your code. Okay, so that's all to this session, guys. If you guys are really enjoying my sessions, I will request you to subscribe to my channel, and please share it with your friends and colleagues, and please if you have any doubts, then put it in the comment section. I'll get back to you as soon as possible, and in the description I have given the links to the my WhatsApp as well as the Telegram channel. Please join there. Okay, and if you guys have any questions also, you can put there, and there I can update what is the next things is coming also in those channels also. Okay, so if you guys need anything, please don't hesitate to ask. Please go ahead and put them in any of the channel. Okay, so yeah, we'll meet in the next session. Thank you guys, bye bye.